UAE's #1 talk radio station.
This is the Business Breakfast on Dubai Eye on One.
Where we turn our attention now to the space race, or certainly the opportunities afforded by space. The 2022 Global Risks Report, recently published by the World Economic Forum, was in collaboration with Marsh, the region's leading insurance broker and risk advisor. And it's found that the increasing proliferation of ever more affordable low Earth orbit satellites present national governments with historical opportunities, but also, given that proliferation, some worrying challenges now. To discuss this one further and give us some more insight into some of the findings from the report, we're joined by the CEO of Marsh UAE. Ayman El Hout joins us live on the line, and also, happy to say, live via Microsoft Teams. Ayman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tom. How are you doing?
Very well indeed, and thanks very much indeed for sending through the report. It makes for some interesting reading. Just in terms of the planetary space race at the moment, it's a term, isn't it, that a number of us use all the time, space race. But just how diverse has it become in recent times?
Well, I think technology had a lot to play into that, and the development of technology has lowered the cost of launching satellites, and especially the low orbit satellites. And so we have seen an increased number of satellites. If you take the number of satellites that has been launched since 1957, today it's around 11,000 satellites, and the expectation is to have thousands of satellites being launched each and every year, which means that this kind of new dimension into invading space, I would say, is mushrooming rapidly, both on the government side as well as on the commercial side.
In terms of that balance and weighing that balance of risks and opportunities at the moment, given the sort of development of the space race and the pace in recent times, is there still a gulf between those risks and opportunities that are convincing more and more people to invest in space?
The opportunities are really humongous. If you look at communications, for example, reaching areas in Earth where the internet has never reached before. If you look at the different uses of satellites, like controlling climate change, getting data from Earth, and all the various utilities out of using the satellites, it's really limitless opportunities. But at the same time, the risks are very, very huge. If you take, for example, the debris that's left in space, we've got tens of thousands of pieces that are floating in space, risking collision. I can give you an example. During March this year, a piece of debris weighing 4,000 tons at a speed of 5,200 miles per hour hit Moon. What if it didn't hit Moon, it came towards Earth? Last year, a big piece of debris hit the robotic arm of the International Space Station. So it's really a very, very high risk, and it needs some kind of control.
Whose responsibility, therefore, it's all good and well putting satellites up into space, but whose responsibility is it to clean up that debris, if there is an option to clean up that debris?
Unfortunately, there was an agreement that was dated 1967, but this agreement is already outdated. So we need a sort of a new agreement, worldwide agreement, to govern the launching of satellites, the orbiting of satellites, and the results of any false launch or any incident that would happen due to these kinds of launches. We don't have this governance body. We are in urgent need of establishing a governance body to be able to control this worldwide.
I can't think of many businesses that don't have some sort of reliance on internet, and therefore all of the supply chain issues that go with internet for all businesses across the world. Does that therefore mean, Ayman, that business in general, all businesses are somehow or other invested into space infrastructure and need to be conscious of that?
I think space infrastructure will reflect positively if well managed for the whole of humanity. And one of the aspects is the internet and connectivity. It goes in two different dimensions. The first dimension is the reach towards areas that we do not have that kind of connectivity. And the second aspect is actually the speed of connectivity, which is really important for the development, for example, for autonomous vehicles, artificial intelligence, and new kinds of applications, the Web3 that's coming. All these need very high speed connectivity to be able to run that Internet of Things, and you name it.
We talk a lot down here on Earth about the supply chain issues at present around the world. We're just hearing there from automotive manufacturers who can't make cars quick enough. Are we seeing similar problems when it comes to ever more affordable low Earth orbit satellites as well? And should industries and businesses be aware of supply chain?
Definitely. You are right on this, Tom. The supply chain has actually affected many industries. One of them is the space industry, whether in the supply of the raw materials, the computer chips, and all the other components that would help in building up a satellite or the missiles that the launch and the launch pads. So whoever has a reliance or has a program to use that into place has to take into consideration the delay expected out of this and readjust his plans accordingly.
Right, let's turn our attention to the future if we can, and certainly the space will play its role in the future as it has done in recent times. What needs to be done? Do we need more governance to ensure safety in space?
I think governance is key, but to have governance with large governments racing towards arms race, etc. So everyone is looking at his own self-interest nowadays. What we need to do is to look at the global humanity's self-interest, and I think we need players in that domain who are not into the arms race, who can put some logic into the discussion, who have science and diplomacy, a combination of those. And I think the UAE has this kind of combination of all these elements and could play a major role in towards that kind of initiative.
Ayman, really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for taking time to explain a little bit more of the findings from the 2022 Global Risks Report published by the World Economic Forum in association with the team at Marsh. Ayman El Hout there is the CEO of Marsh UAE, the region's leading insurance broker. So bringing us that report and, of course, the space race continuing. I'm feeling a bit left out, Rich. I suppose we've got some skin in the game there. We must have a satellite of sorts up there, mustn't we, to stay connected?
Presumably there's something that's keeping the lights on. We're not on Dubai One television right now with a big cable between us and Dubai One towers, either by the creek or up in Media City. So yeah, there'll be some kind of satellite broadcasting going on.
It's the Business Breakfast. We're live with you here on Dubai 103.8 and the aforementioned Dubai One TV. Great to have you with us. We will keep you updated on developing stories in just a few moments.